Sometimes 4 hours.
Alright, hello everyone. My name is Haralds. I'm going to show you how it looks with code nowadays with AI when you don't know how to code. Yeah, the actual name is how to use basically any LLM to prompt them to make prompts for other agents or web coding platforms. And that is something I've been doing for the past few months, or starting from November. And I'm actually found out in the process that instead of developing an MVP, you're developing an MTP, which is just basically a minimum testable product, which you can then go out and talk to people and show off and understand if it's actually solving the core problem. My background comes from startup management studies, where I participated in many hackathons without actually having any coding knowledge. So I was mostly the research guy or the presenting guy. And I've also participated in a service design workshop 2 times, which showed me how you can actually prototype analog and prove that, yeah, you can basically do it without AI as well. Little bit about what I'm gonna show you today. I'm gonna talk a bit about prompt engineering, like a little bit of basics. I am in no means expert in this field. I'm learning myself, but this is something that I found useful throughout my experience. Then I'm gonna run one of your ideas in Lovable and show you how my prompt templates work. So I'm gonna run the idea just writing one sentence, and then I'm gonna show you how I go through my prompt template step by step, which then builds better context. And share a bit about my experience building an MVP for a year, which is now in testing phase already. And then we're gonna look at the outcome, what happened with the lovable prompts we ran, and then I'm gonna answer your questions. So let's get started. These are the 4 kind of parts you need for a well-constructed prompt, and you can ask ChatGPT, maybe he knows better, because there are so many different ways of prompting nowadays, right? So I'm just showing something that I've used before, where I enter the instruction, which is a distinct guideline regarding the task. In my case, it was prompt replit or lovable. Then I gave some context. I'm not technical, so make it as easy as possible for me to work on this. And yeah, then I gave some input data, which will usually be either just from surveys we've done with potential customers or interviews, or you can also make it synthetically, and I will showcase that. And an output indicator. So what are the deliverables that the AI needs to make? And here are some examples. I'm not going to go in depth in them, but yeah. And this is my kind of prompt template I made back in May. I'm really bad at this because I didn't update it, but I'm looking forward to this winter when it's going to get dark and I'm going to not have anything else to do than to work on these prompts. But I wrote this blog, and basically we start out by empathizing with the user, where we use the first prompt, which already understands where, how, why would your user use your solution. Also drawing like an empathy map where it understands what your user is thinking and so on. Second step is to define the MEP goals based on the insights. And the third step would be already to create the MEP prompt for lovable or so on. And I'll show you how it works. I need my little cider chat. And in step, basically, the more context you already have before you begin this process, the better. In this case, does anyone have an idea they would like to share or give me to try? Don't be shy.
Party planning app.
Oh, I actually have a pitch deck for that, so it's perfect. But I think it's in my Telegram. Anyhow, in my blog, I created these sections where I actually have the prompt written with the 3 energy marks. And I will give you the link later as well. So basically, it's a pre-made prompt where you just enter your idea in the middle. And this is a Chrome extension that I use, but basically it uses the same GPT-5 mini, or you can use 5, it doesn't really matter. And it should work for the free versions as well. So I can enter here. You said party planning. and you want it to be an app.
Yeah, basically something so that everyone can input, kind of like a one column kind of Kanban board, and everyone can put in who's bringing what to the party, like what foods, what kind of items, that kind of stuff. So it's all synced. If you're inviting 30 people, some people bring salad, some people bring the meat, some people bring some drinks or sweets or something like that. So they don't duplicate the stuff they're bringing. So it's not like 30 kilograms of meat and only water.
So I'll copy this prompt. Party planning app for groups of people to sync what they're bringing to the party.
Something
And
like that.
I will drop it straight into Lovable because I know it's not the best example because nobody prompts the shore, but just to see the difference. And then I also will do my approach where I will run through the 3 steps. So in the first step, it's already understanding, I don't know if you can see.
Yeah.
Good enough. Basically creating user personas and understanding the user journey. And so it understands when they will use the app, where they will use it, and why they will use it. Then it creates like a user personas, like for example, you're the one that organizes it, then there's the contributing guest, and maybe there's the casual host who is hosting the whole party. And then it gives an empathy map, understanding what your customer is saying, what they're thinking, what they're doing, how they're feeling. And this is just to get more in depth of the user experience. Like, if he thinks this, perhaps there needs to be this functionality. And then the second step would be to define the MVP goal. Usually, for me, in the most recent ideas I've had, I'm focused on some AI functionality, and so I would just focus on that. But in this case, you would like to see some screens or something like that. And yeah, I'll just drop it in and see what happens, And then the third prompt is already asking the AI to write the prompt for the other AI. So basically it's like, yeah, you insert the insights, but since they're in the same chat, we will just paste the prompt, and you can see it's basically asking to generate a detailed MVP prompt for platforms like Replit or Lovable. And it includes like user onboarding, feature set, and some other steps. This is not the best prompt template, I will say right away, but you can just use it to test and then make your own. Yeah, and I think you kind of finished already, but where can I? And I still got enough credits for the second one. Yeah, it's thinking a bit longer. Well, just while it's thinking, maybe I will move on to the next slide, which just explains that if the output disappoints you, I usually run multiple prototypes in Lovable before I move on to building something tangible. And then if that doesn't work, you can basically try to iterate on the front end, trying to change the colors, the layouts, or stuff like that. And if that doesn't work, you can try other platforms. And usually I try other platforms only when the functionality is not working, since Lovable doesn't allow you to use kind of this AI connectivity for the backend. But when you use Google Firebase Studio, you can already use it generates the API key inside of the chat, which is really cool. And I will drop that in here. And now we can continue with the presentation. And this is usually how my vibe coding goes. I just run the code and then I go off doing other things. Yeah, how it looks in practice. As you saw, I defined the goal, I crafted the initial prompt, and basically as you see that the structure goes in that part where I craft the initial prompt, and you can ask ChatGPT to kind of restructurize your prompt in this way. And of course, double check it, make sure it doesn't have any bullshit in there. Then you just test the prompt, analyze the response, refine it, and iterate, or just repeat the process. Repeating the last 3 steps, testing it, analyzing, and refining, so it starts to work. And 3 things to take into consideration when prompting like this. You need to be really critical of what you're feeding the next AI. If you miss some kind of little detail of a specific UI element or thing, it will basically ruin your whole kind of prototype, but you can then make the next version and so on. So it's a lot of experimenting. Then creativity. Creativity just helps you look at this process in different ways. So for me, this is just one of the prompt templates I used, but in the past I've used so many different ways to work with AI, meaning that sometimes if I want to be more technical, I say like, you're the technical DevOps and we're gonna go step by step to make this project base really nice and like neat, not kind of bloating the whole application. And the technical acumen. In my case, I started learning to code and I took the route of vibe coding, meaning that I did not acquire any technical acumen, but I usually, if I don't understand something, I just ask AI to kind of brief me in or explain how it works. And that allows me to debug faster. Yeah, and I think we all know what vibe coding is. What I just showed you, right? You just describe, and the AI generates the code, and then you just test and refine. And then you just start AI debugging. And there used to be traditional coding, then I actually started also with AI assisted, so I downloaded VS Code, I downloaded the boilerplates, I ran all the problems, and then I took the problems, I took the code, I gave it to ChatGPT and said like, fix it, give me back all the correct code. And that kind of worked in the beginning, but it was really time consuming. And now we have vibe coding, where we just explain what we want and it already builds out the base of the code. Then on the other hand, there is agentic coding, which is showing up now more and more, and also in vibe coding platforms. For example, Lovable can create your whole front end, but when you have to connect to the database in the backend, like I forgot how it's called because I use a different vibe coding platform, but Supabase, yeah, when you have to connect to Supabase, you still have to make your own schema and stuff. Like Lovable doesn't do that for you, right? I'm not so sure, but on the other hand, vibe coding platforms like Replit have an agent where he is allowed to have his own database, memory, he keeps the objectives and so on. So if I would drop the same prompt in Replit, it would actually plan before starting to execute and ask me for different functionality. And this is also something that some more experienced devs would understand, that now inside of your how it's called, EDIS or something like that. I'm not so technical, so it's hard for me, but you already use these agents that can kind of switch on for specific components, and then they run fully autonomously. Once they're finished, then you look at it. If it's good, you can just push it and so on. And we'll see more of this coming in. Like Cursor has like 3 agents per an employee who is a coder, so they run their own agents who just run off in different like components or debugging directions. And here I wanted to compare both, but as you can understand, I'm not very technical, so my kind of viewpoint is that you can use vibe coding more for prototyping and experimentation. When it comes to agentic, it's good for maintenance, integration, and enterprise scaling ops. So once you have like a developer team and you want to scale up or be more efficient. This was my first understanding of the process that I'm doing. I'm basically taking the idea, running it through the users, or in this case, synthetically through AI, and making the backend and frontend, understanding what are the functionalities that I need in the backend and frontend, so the user would be satisfied with the solution. And that's how I made the first prototype. Once I have the first one, I just iterate by adding multiple pages or adding functionality. So there are 2 directions you can take, like adding the UI, which would mean like adding a profile page, maybe adding a marketplace page or so on. And then the other direction is like making the profile page actually savable, so like functionality. And once I go like 3 iterations, I'm ready for testing the minimum testable product, going to the end user and talking to them, hey, are these features actually usable for you? Would you use this, and do you need them? And there are specific things of what I look for when interviewing the end customer. So the first thing is just mutual feedback. When they're using the software, what are they saying? Like, oh, I would like this to be a slider instead of that. And you can see here there is a star and there's a heart. And how I would explain that is that there are a lot of features that the clients will love, but then there are the features that they actually need and would use. So you just focus on those features that they need instead of focusing on everything that they kind of say they love. Then I found this on Azure, like machine learning prompt flow something. And this explains a little bit better how it works, like step by step. So you first initialize, which is this part at the top. Then you go on to experiment, and then you evaluate and refine. If you're satisfied with the front end, you might move on to production, where you already introduce like the databases, authentication, maybe some payment options, and so on. Yeah. And then I want to share my Bookify project experience, where I went from starting to code with AI assisted all the way to making a real prototype on Replit. So it all started in November last year, where we went to the student challenge of TechShell. And we are 4 guys in the team, looking all good, talking to the end user, which was Santa here at Startup House. And she said, like, we have only an email. When people want to book the venue, we have only an email. And so we interviewed her, and that's where this folder was created, where we started to research all this problem. And in the first like 2 days in the hackathon, we did not win it, of course, but we already had great insights on how she wants to see the solution. My computer sometimes does the weird sound. And yeah, so here I want to explain that actually when we started this project, we were really excited, but then after a few weeks, we were like, oh, do we even see a business case here? So we started interviewing other venues to understand if there is a real issue. Then we noticed that also agencies have a lot of websites, landing pages, where they have just an email. And you can see here, we did actual calls, and we recorded how the process is going right now, what are the people involved, how many events are happening, and so on. And then we asked about what tools they already use to kind of combine them into this one solution, or yeah, try to solve their issue of kind of spending too much time on just managing clients. And after that, we made the first prototype. Unfortunately, I don't have images here, but it was a Python written Streamlit app, where you could actually test the flow of person making the booking and then the venue accepting. But what I do have here is app that it's not running. Yeah, after like first 3 or 4 iterations, we made this bloated kind of demo, so to speak, to show them all the kind of different functions we imagined they could use. And this is something that I went to Santa with and said, like, do you need this? Do you need this? Like, how would you like to see this? Is this okay? Do you actually need this or not? And we spoke through it, and I made a video of it. And then afterwards, we, together with my team, analyzed the video and understood where we need to make changes. I'm not sure where in this folder it is right now, but the thing to understand is that it's not just about prompting AI, it's more about actually talking to the end user and understanding their core pains and issues. And so we went from this bloated MVP to the current solution, which already has a booking page, so you can book the venue. You can see here, you can select everything, go to the calendar, you can see that today someone has already booked some time, and if I try to book that time, it will not allow me to. You can also see if there's a pending approval on a certain time, and yeah, leave my details. The additional value we provide is that people can already see your equipment on the website, and in the initial demo, we showed off that we imagine that once you select all the details, it will actually calculate the estimate for your event automatically. But when it comes to testing the MEP, we want to make sure that the basic core functionality is already enough for them to use it. And yeah, here you would select the features and it would kind of give you the estimate. Saving a lot of time on the end of the manager who has to ask for the details, ask for everything, and educate actually the customer on what is even available. And yeah, I will just compare the two admin pages. So you can see here it's a lot, but here it's just the basic features that they ask for, like the calendar, which actually works and shows you all the events, and the bookings and clients, where you can see the bookings, you can confirm them or disapprove them. Was it me who made this? Who made that? Anyway, and then you can create proposals for the clients. And for me, as a non-technical guy, this took me a year, but I believe that for you it might be a lot faster. And yeah, so let's go back to the presentation. I think the prototype should be finished. Hopefully, happen. Yeah, it's spinning up the preview. I think this one was the short one. So this is what it made with just the short prompt. So basically we see the event. I can select that I will bring this. Okay, nice. This is what it makes without running my prompt sequence. And let's see the other one. Okay, well it's running up. I will tell you that basically prompt AI to make your website better. Especially if you're in the back end, you can find someone who likes the prompt like me, and I can build the front end really quickly. And here is an interesting take from a guy from the Prompt Engineering Showcase in the OpenAI blog or website. He also uses prompts to not have to prompt and learn about the prompt, to have the prompt be less prompting. So basically that is what I do. And currently I'm working on this project which is called Iterate Today. I will not showcase it now, but I'm trying to build a website which actually helps you move as a non-technical guy from idea to the prototype to the MEP and to the launch with different tools and learning experience combined. So it's learning plus execution. And then I also found a few useful templates. So the first one is a Notion template where you can actually drop all your prompt templates as a coding person. So this allows you to build a base of different prompts that have worked for you in the past. And once you advance to the agents, you can then use these prompts to just feed them in the agents. And it looks like this. Yeah, my kind of, I shot myself in the foot by not doing this. So I just have my one single blog where I have this one prompt template, but yeah. And then the other thing is QR code for the prompts I use today. They're not the best, but they help you understand the technique behind it, how you just go step by step using different prompts, building the context. And then there's a whole Google document that I made because once I started doing research for this presentation, I wanted to go from the base, understanding where prompts come from, also looking at the MVPs, how other people discuss them. Then I found scientific research comparing agentic and vibe coding. So there are many different information sources in here. Just to click around, see if you don't like it, just close it, you know. And yeah, wondering why this is taking so long. I think it's finished already, no? Loading live preview.
It's
asking you
arrow
something to
something.
enable, yeah.
Yeah, but I think I don't have the full. Okay, let's define.
Can you please show the QR codes once more?
Oh, yeah.
Just quickly.
case you don't get a photo, you can just come to me and we can discuss it. Yeah, I think I'm close to the ending time, so I'll just ask you to connect with me on the LinkedIn. That is where I try to share my findings and project updates. Also made my personal website. I thought that was really cool buying this domain, h4r1is.com. But there you can find a little connect button, which will bring you to my Google Calendar scheduler, where you can schedule like a half-hour meeting with me, and I can do this prototyping for you. Especially if you're in the back end, I can make the front end for you, and we can discuss it further. Yeah, so taking too much time.
Imagine it would take weeks, like 2 years ago, so.
Yeah, I'm now like, why can't you do it in 10 minutes? But yeah, maybe I will find a different.
How much was the domain?
I think like
5 million.
it depends. I don't remember actually. I have like six different domains bought already with different kinds
That's a
of
good one.
ideas. And just to finish up, I want to say that true mastery lies not in actually just using some of the techniques, but relentlessly pursuing different techniques, trying out what works, what doesn't. And when people ask me like, which is the best web coding platform right now, I'm saying like, the one that works for you, right? And that is how it is just now. And that's why I also mentioned that ChatGPT is not the only LLM that you can use with all the, like every week another LLM is on top of the game. So it's just all about iterating and trying out different tools and going deeper into this kind of approach. Yeah, perhaps you have, oh great, it finally showed. So you can see here, the difference here is that here it's already made the party sync, so like a one pager where you can open up the event details. But once you ran my prompts, it already has like multiple pages where we can enter the event name, let's say UI Frontend Meetup. We can select different products we need for the party. Let's say we need beer. I created the event, and now we can share this link, apparently. I'm not sure if it will work, but yeah, I can write my name, and I wonder if I can see about the others. Okay, yeah, I wonder if this link works. Interesting. So it might even work. Yeah, so you can see that in the other version, it created the one page, but once you go through the step-by-step process, and you can tailor it to your needs, so make it yours, make it unique, make it what works for you. That has been me, and I want to also say big thanks to Toms for reaching out. It was very interesting for me to kind of understand how much I don't know about all this stuff, so big thanks, and also big thanks to you guys for coming. Any questions? Yes?
Yeah, maybe from question for technical guy. When we create our prototype, I mean MVP, MTV, how we say it, basically we present to customer, he tests it, okay, what further destiny of the project? I mean, how it goes to production? Because when you create this AI tools, basically there are definitely much more code inside that it would be need. There might be some security breach also, so how we basically tackle it further?
Yeah, in my case, I use Replit, so I ask the agent in here, what are the issues? And actually, I encountered the same problem as you're mentioning with this MEP, where I had hard-coded inside of there some kind of unit that was using a lot of computing, and so it was running up my bill. So the approach would be to kind of tailor the project to be ready to like use AI. I don't have a specific answer, but I just look afterwards at how it's doing when it's running online, and then if there are some issues, I just go and talk to the agent and ask like what's going on, give it the problems.
But for you, some years past, project successfully launched, but then customer wants another feature. how to feed AI that, hey, there is a state of the project, you need to serve the prompt for past year, basically, to give some context and say, hey, please add one more feature to the project. How is it?
That's a great question, but as I said, I just started coding in November,
Ah,
so
okay.
I'm not even full year going myself. And
Not yet the case.
yeah, but there was a case where I built this website for a client actually, and he sent me in Latvian that, hey, I need to add these phone numbers to this page. So I went into Replit and maybe I can show, oh, okay, not this one. There is the agent on the side, so I just copied his message in Latvian, pasted it in the agent, and it already made the changes, so.
Wow.
Automatically.
Yeah, so like making changes was really easy. And
But then hosting site is tightly coupled with this Replit, yeah?
yeah, with Replit in this case, and you can launch it from there. Also, you can keep your database in there. A lot of people are still skeptical about the AI keeping databases, but the thing is, I recently looked at like how data leaks from the bigger companies. I'm like, yeah, well, it happens everywhere. So
What's the
I have
cost?
friends.
Let's say if I have like a breakthrough idea and I'm like on the next Amazon, like and the traffic is insane, like how does it scale?
That's a great question. I will quickly show you the pricing.
And then there is no option to self-host it.
You can then export it to GitHub and then
Okay,
run it on
okay,
your private
yes,
server.
okay.
But
Yes, AI to scale.
I'm actually not so sure what all this means, but let's say you have deployed and you need the compute units, right? So it's $3.20 for 1 million of compute units. And you can see that the Bookify project ran up 15 million, so it was really interesting to see this issue for the first time. And I would say Replit offers a great way where it kind of scales their deployment with your application. I'm not so sure about the pricing on that.
And then regarding if you come up on a case where, like have you come up on a case where the AI doesn't understand what are you willing to achieve and you are just like fighting it, so like, yeah.
As I said, every idea that I have, it starts with the first 3 prototypes, right? And then I move to building something that is actually functional. So as I'm building it out, I get to the first MVP or MTP, as I said. And usually once I test that, I'm like, nah, this is all like too much. I start from 0 and then start building again. And every next iteration goes a bit faster. So
I mean regarding specific features, like I don't know, you say like add a button there, it has to do this, and it just doesn't do it. Like the outcome isn't what you expected. Like how do you get to the final result?
basically just repeating the process. If
And
there is
hoping that it succeeds, yeah.
if there is a bug, you usually try to kind of I tell the agent that there's a bug, and it setups already like error these. I'm not so sure technically how they're called, but basically it creates tags for errors. So once the error happens, it gets the tag, and it's like, oh, and now see the error. So I'm testing as it's working on it, analyzing. It already sees that I'm testing it, and then it can. I'm mostly seeing this issue with AI functionality, where I created this project where there are 2 AI agents talking to each other, and it was really hard to set it up because one of the agents was Gemini and the other one was OpenAI, and so they have different API documentation. So the agent was struggling to kind of make them different for each one. But yeah, you tend to run a lot in these kind of issues where you click on the button and it's not working yet. That's why I said it takes like 3 first prototypes to kind of iterate on either pages or functionality.
And what's the like complexity limit that you can reach? Like how far? Like could we build like a Facebook 2.0? Like with all the marketplaces, groups, like the chats, like what's the limitation? How far can this go now?
That's a great question. I'm not the one to answer this. I'm not technical, so I don't benchmark these vibe coding platforms. I would say probably not possible yet, but you can try. You can always try. Yeah.
But you excuse to argue with AI if you're not satisfied by result.
Yeah. All right, we're using up our break. So thank you guys.
Let's take a 10-minute break, talk a bit, stretch our legs.